Hello, this is Jack Kirby with Business Solutions, and today we're going to talk about manufacturing orders and scheduling. We're going to talk about some questions that managers ask when they're looking at planning and scheduling. We're going to go over some workflow for how Odoo Manufacturing will schedule. We're going to walk through some examples, and then we're going to do a little bit of analysis. So let's start with questions that managers ask. So the first is, in Odoo, how can I set the hours and capacities of my work centers? Next, how can I see and adjust the schedule for my production? How can I refine the time estimates for how long my individual products take to manufacture? And how can I take into account material availability when scheduling? So let's quickly take a look at my manufacturing workflows. So whether you're doing make to stock or make to order, scheduling in Odoo works the same. When I create a manufacturing order, that's going to generate component demands. Those component demands are going to either be in stock, where they can be used immediately, or they're going to require purchasing from a vendor, in which case the receiving date that you set on the purchase order will be the new availability date for that material. Once those are picked and ready in production, they will go through several different work centers, and those work centers can operate sequentially or in parallel depending on how you set up the bill of materials. Let's start by looking at my work centers in Odoo. So let's take a look at this saw station. Now there's two main pieces of information that are used in Odoo scheduling. The first are the working hours. Okay, now by default, Odoo is going to set default working hours for your workstation. But for example, let's say this saw station has different working hours than my normal 8-hour day. So here I can come in and set a work schedule. What is the availability of this saw station? And currently I have it from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, okay? But we're looking at about 10 hours a day for the saw station. The other component to take into account when scheduling is the capacity. So in my manufacturing system, I budget the amount of time that it takes to cut a smoker in terms of time. And I can only do one smoker at a time at my station. So the capacity is 1. But if I had a different type of work center, for example, I had a heat treatment system that could handle, 5 smokers at a time, then I would set the capacity at 5, and Odoo would allow those durations to overlap to a total of 5 capacity. Okay, so those are the two things that are going to affect how Odoo plans my operations during scheduling. The next thing that we want to take a look at is the bill of materials. So if I go into my 100-gallon smoker bill of materials and I take a look at the operations, you'll notice that we set durations for each of these operations. 80 minutes at the saw station, 180 minutes at the smoker weld, 300 at the assembly station, and 90 minutes for burn-in. Okay? In addition, my manufacturing readiness is going to be when all components are available, and I've set consumed in operations for all my components, so this is going to travel through the system sequentially. The next item that we want to take a look at is our actual manufacturing orders. So in Odoo, I have set up several different manufacturing orders with some dependencies. Okay, so these trailer mounts are the subassembly for the 100-gallon max smoker. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to take a look at this one, which is scheduled for today. Okay, I see that I have all my materials available, and I have the expected durations for these work operations. So now I want to plan these operations. Now, the first one that I plan out of these manufacturing orders is going to be scheduled for the first available time that I have. Okay, so let's take a look at my Gantt chart. If I go into, I'm just going to go into manufacturing, planning, planning by work center. So in this work order planning view, you can see that I am grouping by my saw station and by my manufacturing order. And we can see that what Odoo has done is it has scheduled the first operation at the saw station. It has scheduled the next operation to end immediately when those products are now available. And it has scheduled the last assembly station for immediately following this trailer mount weld. Okay? Now, if we wanted to add in some buffer time, I could set some time before production and some time after production to give me a little bit of buffer time between these events. And if I want to, I can simply drag and drop these items to reschedule them for the exact time that I need to. Great. So now I'm going to schedule the next operation. So we know that this is going to be done February 9th. So I'm going to go ahead and edit this and schedule this for starting February 10th. Okay? Now I'm going to plan this, and planning will add scheduled start dates for this manufacturing order. And if I look at my order planning and I go to the next day, I'll notice that I have started this manufacturing order 9, my 100-gallon smoker, and each of the operations has been scheduled. Now, one thing that we'll notice is that this assembly is extending into the next available day. So this operation is going to take 300 minutes, and Odoo is smart enough to know that if I look at this day, I don't have 300 minutes remaining in that day, so it's automatically going to push that into the next day and the remaining completed time. And that time that it's scheduling on is based on the work center's working hours that I have set. Okay? And then we have the final heat and seal, and we can see that that's 90 minutes. If I needed to extend this, I can extend it. And if I needed to take a break and I needed to readjust it, I can do that here. Next, I'm going to plan manufacturing order number 12. We can see it has these 3 operations, and we're going to go ahead and hit the plan button. That's going to give us a starting schedule starting on the 9th. And now we can see that I have a new manufacturing order showing up on saw station. So for these 2 hours, I'm going to be working on manufacturing order 10. But because the capacity is 1, Odoo knows that it can only work on 1 unit at the same time. It has scheduled the next trailer mount trailer cut for the next available time slot at that station. Now let's go ahead and schedule the rest of my operations. So here I can see that my trailer axles and trailer wheels are not available. I don't have enough in stock to be able to handle this manufacturing order. So we're going to go to my purchase orders, and we need to complete these purchase orders. Okay? So I'm going to schedule this. My order deadline I'm going to set for the 12th. My receipt date I'm going to set for the 12th, because that's when my vendor says that these will be available. I'm going to save. I'm going to confirm. Okay, and now I can receive the products. But let's take a look at what happened with my manufacturing order. I can see that those are expected on the 12th. So I'm not going to set my start date for the 11th. I'm going to go ahead and give myself an extra day. I'm going to set that for the 13th. Okay? So now when I plan that work order, it's going to start on the next available slot on the 15th. Okay? And we can see that if we move forward in our dates, now I have those available. Okay? So I've booked those out for the first available day that I have both capacity and those materials in stock. So going back to my questions, I can see how I can set the hours and capacity. I can see how I can adjust my schedule. and I can see how I can take into account material availability. But now let's say I want to refine my time estimates. So here I'm going to go into my reporting view under manufacturing reporting work orders, and I'm going to take a look at my operations by real duration and expected duration. And I'm going to check in on this every so often to see my 100-gallon max smoker cut. My expected duration is 80 minutes, but in actuality, the average that it's taking is 75. So if I go into my bill of materials, I can now go into my operation, my 100-gallon smoker, and I'm going to change the duration from 80 minutes to 75. Okay? I'm also going to take a quick look at my weld, and in fact my weld is taking a little more time. So I'm going to increase that from 180 to 190. Okay? Now this isn't going to affect work orders that are in current operation, but it will affect future work orders. So by going in and doing the quick reporting, if I am accurately measuring the real duration on my operations, then I can quickly adjust the operations on the bill of materials to better reflect my real durations. So that is the basics of how to use Odoo to schedule and organize your operations in manufacturing. So if you would like getting help setting up manufacturing in Odoo, reach out to Bista Sales. We'd love to help you out.